Hello Minecraft community, Storm here. I'm sure a lot of you watched Minecraft Live when it came up a couple of weeks ago, and so I'm sure a lot of you know about the very new, very exciting update that's coming to us in 2021, which is 1.17, the Caves and Cliffs update. We finally got the cave update, it's here. So, there were actually a lot of things introduced besides the cave update that I really want to talk about, but of course my favorite part is the caves. But I thought that we would talk about some of them. I'll probably ramble on a lot about certain things. So I'm also including in here some clips of me building a fisherman's cottage for you to watch while I ramble. I will also include in a couple of clips from Minecraft Live to give you context and such. So, the big part of Minecraft 1.17, Caves and Cliffs. Let's just push cliffs to the side for a second. They're great. But caves. Oh my gosh, caves have gotten a huge revamp, and it's not even just in one way. There are now different, almost biomes within caves, which are just amazing. My favorite part is the basic change to cave generation, because A, I am a nerd, and B, because I never like to go caving in Minecraft. It's probably my least favorite thing to do out of everything that you can do in Minecraft. And it's because every cave is so repetitive, they're very narrow, there's not a lot of adventuring that you can do within the caves. So I'm extremely excited about the new cave generation. They are so big, so open, and varied, it is just great. As you can see in the clips, you can really fly through almost all of the caves, you can take a boat, there are new ways to go through the caves. They're just so big, and there's so much to explore. Each one of the caves, since it's not all cramped anymore, it feels like you're more in an environment, and you still know that you are underground, but it doesn't feel like you're just in a very small hole anymore. And that's really cool, because before, the most exciting structure you could really find underground, besides of course a stronghold or a abandoned mine shaft, was a ravine. Now we have huge indentures in caves, we have giant caverns, and they're just incredible. I know the generation of caves is only talked about a little bit in Minecraft Live and maybe in other YouTubers that you've seen, but that's really what I'm most excited for because it brings a different feel to caving, but it's a very Minecraft feel. It definitely feels like Minecraft, and it definitely feels like the next step that we should be going to in Minecraft. Now, there are somewhat biomes in these caves. One of them is the dripstone caves, which feature huge stalactites and stalagmites, and some new blocks that they hang off of. Does anybody know the difference between stalactites and stalagmites, besides the fact that one of them has a T in it? I don't know, but the ceiling ones can fall on you and injure players, entities, mobs, anything, and entities and mobs can also fall on the floor ones and take damage. So it can be used for traps, it can be used for PvP, it can be used to strategically trap a mob in. So there's some interesting possibilities that are opened up with that. But my only problem with the dripstone caves is that the stalactites and the stalagmites textures don't really feel very Minecrafty to me. They're definitely not as blocky as the other structures in the game, and I don't really like the way that the textures look. Now, of course, everything we've seen in Minecraft Live really is a first stage and really just what the developers' ideas are of things. So I'm sure that the textures of stalagmites and stalactites will be worked on. I'm sure dripstone caves will become more of that Minecrafty feel. But for now, that's what my problem with them. They really don't feel Minecrafty enough with those textures. Another thing on that topic is amethyst geodes, which are somewhat of a biome and somewhat of finding a giant rock within the rock, because that's what geodes really are. They're rocks that you crack open and there are gems inside, except for this time you can actually go inside the geodes. Now, I have the same problem with this that I do with the dripstone caves. The texture of the amethyst crystals themselves really don't feel too Minecrafty to me. They're not very blocky, and I think that Minecraft did a very good job with flowers, for example, like those tall rose bushes and lilac bushes, not being entirely blocky, but still feeling very Minecraft, and I think that's something that they could do with the amethyst crystals as well, if they take a look at the flower textures and maybe apply something similar to that. What I do like about amethyst geodes, which you can use to craft telescopes, which I'll talk about later on, is that they can only be farmed on the blocks that they are found on, which cannot be mined. Much like a spawner. They can be broken, but you cannot pick them up, not even with a silk touch pickaxe. So this means that you'll have to go out and build farms in where the amethyst crystals are. And I think that's a really good feature of Minecraft, because once you have every resource consolidated into one area for players at the later stage of the game, it can really get a little bit too easy almost, and it doesn't have that adventurous feel that's really the quintessential Minecraft. So I'm very glad that you have to go out somewhere to farm the amethyst geodes, but I don't know if their use in telescopes is enough to want to go out and farm them specifically. Another biome of the caves that I'm extremely excited about is Lush Caves. Lush Caves are found what I believe is an azalea tree, and they are just full of vegetation. They have different kinds of vines, there are bushes, axolotls can be found inside of them, which I'm very excited about. But honestly, my favorite part of Lush Caves, and something that I think has been not really talked about a ton, is if you look in the clips closely, you can see a thin covering of what seems to be grass, but upon further look, it seems to be just about a snow layer above the stone that it is on top of. And this has been revealed to be moss. And I am so psyched about the possibility of moss carpets. Like, being able to use moss as a carpet layer, or just moss in general as thin as a carpet or snow layer, is so exciting to me. Because you can layer so many things with the environment on that, and I think that's just a big thing with the new vegetation added in Lush Caves in general. There's just a lot more you can do with the vegetation of environments, and I'm extremely excited about that. I'm going to carpet every one of my houses in moss. Now, the caves aren't all light and fun. When you go a bit deeper, there is a new biome in the caves called the Deep Dark Biome, and it is terrifying. Down in this Deep Dark Biome, occasionally, no matter how many light sources you have placed around you, you could surround the whole area with torches, but occasionally it will go dark and come back. And this is terrifying, first of all, because you don't know what's around you, you can't see, you're deep in the caves. Of course, you don't want to die and lose anything, there could be mobs. But this is made all the more terrifying by the addition of the new, just absolutely insane mob, the Warden. The Warden is a blind mob that senses things through the vibrations that players send out in their feet. You can also see these vibrations with skulk growths, which spawn underground in caves and can detect the player's vibrations. Because it can detect vibrations from motion, not just from the players, but from other entities, from even redstone blocks, anything that moves, this is very exciting for redstone, because it can be used as wireless redstone, detecting in a chain. Now, I'm not really a redstone person, I don't understand a ton of it myself, I can sort of follow Mumbo Jumbo's videos sometimes, but this is absolutely amazing for the redstone community, because it's opening up a whole new world of possibility with player detection, entity detection, even just any motion detection. Back to the Wardens, the new terrifying mob. They cannot see, so they sense the player through their vibrations, much like the skulk sensors. The difference is the skulk sensors will just sit there and make a sound and light up, and the Warden will charge at you. You can distract the Warden by throwing things in a different direction, as it won't be able to tell the difference from a player vibration and a vibration of a different object, say a snowball, an arrow, any projectile really. It will come back to you, it will sense your motion, and these things hit hard. The Warden is taller than both Endermen and Iron Golems, and it hits like a Ravager. In full netherite armor, in the previews that they showed, the player could only take 2 hits, and barely that, before being killed. And the Warden can hit up to 5 blocks in the air, so towering up as an option to escape them is still an incredibly difficult thing to do. Basically what I'm saying, you do not want to encounter these things in the dark of the caves. Now, a little bit of a segue into the more cliffs part of the Caves and Cliffs update. We have goats, mountains, and snowier snow. You may remember this from last Minecraft Live, before this year, in which everyone voted for goats, and seemingly no one voted for goats because everyone was angry at it. Now, my favorite part of the cliffs part of this update is, and you will not be surprised if you heard what my favorite part of the Caves update is, the new mountain generation. There are extreme cliffs, extreme mountains, and just summits that they're putting into the game that'll generate, and I am so excited for the adventure aspect of those. I'm wondering if they'll add something like avalanches, I'm wondering if they'll have rock slides. I'm very excited for the new generation and the possibilities of these huge mountains. They only showed one screenshot of them, which leads me to believe that they're really working on developing these more so than the others because they haven't gone as far with them yet. But from the snapshot they showed, it really reminds me of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, because you can see so many aspects of this biome and the extreme hills and how they blend down into the valleys and the trees and everything. And it's just really beautiful, and it's a really beautiful part of Minecraft that I'm very excited for. They're also adding goats. They can jump real high. They can hit people. I didn't vote for goats. I don't know if you can tell. There's also the snowier snow that we were all promised. Everyone's been eagerly awaiting this snowier snow. And it's pretty much more like a powder where you can fall or sink through the snow layers. And I'm definitely going to fall into snowier snow very often. So I don't know how excited I am about that. My main part of the cliffs bit of the update, my main favorite thing is really the generation. Now, I kind of wanted to take a second to talk about everyone's new favorite mob. Everyone knows, axolotls. Can't believe they made that team from MCC a real thing. Axolotls can be found in Lush Caves, but they can be taken into freshwater, the oceans, pretty much anywhere. In Minecraft Live, they showed a preview video of someone taking a lot of axolotls with them to a sea temple and using them to fight off guardians. So the axolotls do have somewhat of a pet bonding system. They're not quite the same as dogs. They won't teleport to you, but they do ally with the player if there is a fighting situation nearby. They're feisty little boys, what can I say? I also want to take a bucket of axolotls in Minecraft everywhere I go from now on. Now, as we talked about the mob vote last time with the goats, this mob vote we had 3 candidates. The Iceologer, which everyone called the Chillager. I agree, they should have called it the Chillager. The Moo Bloom, and the Glow Squid. Personally, I wanted to see the Iceologer added to the game because I think new illagers and new hostile mobs in general would be a very interesting fighting mechanic, especially with the ice powers that they had. But the Glow Squid won the mob vote and is getting added. I'm personally not angry about that. I love the Moo Bloom. The Moo Bloom is very pretty, but the Moo Bloom was definitely last on my list. And only because Stress Monster had her Alamoos in Season 6, and that satiated me on there. Also, the Glow Squid is shiny. No one seems to really know what the addition of the Glow Squid is going to do with the game, so I'm interested to see how they add that in and what mechanics they make. Maybe they'll drop something differently. Personally, I would be extremely excited if the Glow Squid could drop something that would give you a different colored light source, because glow is in the name. And I am glad that squids are getting a bit of a revamp, because they were in the earliest versions of the game, and they've gone through a lot of bug fixes. When you're caving, you may come across a new ore, and this new ore is copper. I am very excited about copper as a new building block. We have it in slabs, we have it in stairs, the whole thing. It shows its age by rusting, or maybe it's oxidizing, after being left out in the air for a while. Just like real copper, it'll turn from its orangish hue to a green after a while, so it shows the age of the building. And I think that's a really cool feature and something that's very unique in Minecraft, because the passage of time is kind of hard to tell in certain worlds. Copper can be used in a couple of crafting recipes. For example, we have now the lightning rod, which can direct lightning away from your house, which is great for anybody who plays with Fire Tick on and likes wool or wood. Copper can also be used to craft Discount Optifine, also known as telescopes. The video that they showed at the preview of telescopes wasn't super promising. The view was extremely limited and the blackness on the edges just seemed a little modded for me, but I'm sure the developer team is definitely going to be working on that, and I think it'll be very interesting for Bedrock players who want to use a zoom and can't install things like Optifine. So I think that'll be something interesting. And I hope it can be used as a display block, because I know people building things like pirate ships or astrology towers would love to be able to display telescopes and maybe use that as a part of their build. And I think that would be a really cool thing. To tackle the problem of inventory management, Mojang has added what they call a bundle. I'm not completely sure how I feel about bundles. They can be used to put up to 64 items in one slot, but the thing is, these 64 items don't all have to be the same item. So if you have a lot of 1 or 2 things in your inventory, but you don't necessarily want to get rid of them, you could put them in a bundle. I'm not completely sure if I like them or not. To me, bundles don't feel like vanilla Minecraft. They don't have a very Minecraft feel to them. But last year I had the same skepticism about netherite, and now netherite feels like a natural part of the game to me, so I'm gonna keep an open mind on bundles, and I really hope that they help in inventory management, but I don't know if they're the solution that we've been looking for. The final thing I'm going to talk about is something that nobody saw coming, that Mojang kind of threw in there, and I love it. Of course, I'm talking about archaeology. You can craft brushes, and you can use them to brush away things such as dirt or gravel, which narrows them down to layers, which is very cool to see texture-wise. And there can be items hidden in them, there can be shards, there can be artifacts, there can even be money, diamond or emerald blocks, so basically you can be your own Minecraft metal detector. I know there's some of you out there that have been waiting for that feature to be added. And it's just a really cool thing in general because it definitely shows that there was more lore behind it and that there was someone or something that lived there before you, which I think is one of my favorite things about some Minecraft structures, because although a single player world can seem like a very lonely world, there are things that hinted at stuff that came before you, like the bones now in the Nether Soul Sand valleys, strongholds that are abandoned and filled with mobs but once held amazing things, abandoned villages, and now we have archaeology. With this new archaeology feature, those of you who were that kid that had the dinosaur obsession phase are getting fed. One thing I'm very excited about is the artistic aspect of it. You can make your own pots out of the artifacts that you find, and you can choose the order to put them in and really tell your own story with what it was. I love Mojang including ways for us to make our own lore within the game, because the basic Minecraft lore is amazing, but it leaves a lot to be built upon if we so choose, and I think that's one of my favorite aspects of Minecraft. The pot making interface to me is similar to the banner and firework making interfaces, because there are set designs, but you get to decide the order in which everything goes and how the end result turns out. However, I do worry that this will lead to it being used as rarely as the banner and firework making interfaces, because I don't see that used very often. So those are my thoughts on Minecraft 1.17. I hope you guys learned something. I learned a lot. If you're still here, you've stuck around listening to me ramble mostly about caves for this long, congrats, dude, you are pretty cool. Anyway guys, leave a comment down below what you're most excited for in 1.17 and I will read through them. I'm really excited to see what you guys are most excited for, and tell me if I missed out on any features that you'd like to talk about. Ramble to me guys, I want to hear it. Oh, and by the way, here's the finished Fisherman's cottage.
Debugging in runtime, very efficient.